People, this video is a very important, action-filled video that you really need to pay attention to. It's based on a movie that was being written on how civilians like us, who are now suffering the potential of losing our civil rights, such as the First Amendment, which we are being threatened to have it be taken away from us every day. But this is also based on the fact that they are killing innocent civilians, and while we shout, "Stop killing them," they're telling us, "You can't even say, 'Stop killing them.' We're gonna shut your mouths and not enable you to even shout, 'Stop killing the innocent civilians.'" So here I'm going to describe to you what the narrative was, or what the narration of that movie about how civilians like us, peaceful civilians, were able to stop the warmongering arms dealers, manufacturers, killers of humanity by mass weapons of destruction, etc. So it goes like this. The civilians actually used their brain, and they said, you know what, while we are standing up as physical human beings, when we go to stand up and say, "Hey, arms manufacturers, you're not allowed to send your bombs over to kill the civilians," they simply remove us one body at a time physically. They go like this, they arrest us, and they put us away. Of course, we get out later if we're living in a civilian, country like the US. But at the end of the day, they were able to get people out in a matter of a half an hour. They'll get 100,000 people off the street. But what these people did in this movie is they used their vehicles. Pay attention. Our cars and trucks are big metal machines that are hard to move. You can't move them by one police officer simply taking you like this. So what they did is they went ahead and they simply rented cars, because they didn't want to use their own cars and therefore, lose all this money because of insurance or otherwise, although it's covered. They went ahead and they rented cars, rental cars. They placed that $15 a day insurance or whatever, and rented all these different cars, and they parked them in the places that would prevent those destructive arms manufacturers from sending their bombs and everything to the port. They placed them right in front of their factories, on the exact path where they're not able to do this. So they brought up this idea from back in Germany, back in the Holocaust, when people were wondering, why does the US or other people of good morality, if there existed anybody at the time, why would they not bomb the train tracks when they were bringing people to the Auschwitz and the other concentration camps? Why would anyone with, again, some sort of morality not destroy the path of the arms that are being moved to the armies that are killing people and that are literally moving those arms, and therefore they would stop them from doing that act to begin with? So now with this movie that they were talking about, when they were putting their cars in front, now you've got like 1,700 cars, which, if you can imagine, 1,700 people is not a lot of people. They can move them in 2 seconds. But you bring 1,700 people and you park them, and then those cars are gone. I mean, as far as those renters of those cars, maybe those cars were stolen and somebody just took them, or however way they got there, it's none of their business. Insurance covers it, and they're good. And simply, it takes the local police or local whoever it is, or local authorities, or private towing companies. It will take them hours, not hours like 1 or 2 hours. It'll take them all day and all night to be able to move 1,000 cars or 2,000 cars, because they're going to have to do it one at a time. And each car, to hook it up, it's going to take 10, 15 minutes. So they will cripple, which is the objective, they will cripple those arms manufacturers from delivering. And every day they would go in there and they would park them on the streets, on the path, close and near, as close as they get, one after another, and they would place them where it would just be more and more difficult. And therefore, one day after another, the criminal army that was doing this bombardment could not last many weeks at this rate. But people, individuals, there's many, many tens of thousands of people everywhere that are willing to do this. Because when innocent civilians are being murdered in mass, in the hundreds per day, every day, there's a lot of people that are not just willing to spend money, they're willing to spend a lot of money to stop this act of terror from taking place. So those who were willing to stand up, and those who were willing to spend, $10, $20, $30, $50 a day on a rental car that would go in there and block those enemies of humanity, to stop the terrorism dead in its tracks so that they don't enable them to get those bombs over, they actually succeeded in this movie. So this movie was pretty good, and civilians at the end of the day ended up winning, and they ended up defeating that terrorist army by civil means, without shedding a drop of blood and without causing any harm to anyone, just simply by preventing them from doing the evil thing that they were doing. So that's what these people have done, and I don't know if people could take a lesson somehow, some way, that evil can be stopped. Forward this message to whoever is interested in listening to it, and maybe would learn something.